morning, students. Today we are going to see about the introduction of Microcontroller 8051. So, before starting, we are going to see why we are going to study this about 8051 microcontroller. That is, our objective is to know the architecture, details of 8051, its addressing modes, its instruction sets, its pin diagram, and its functionalities. Apart from that, its application towards marine industry. This is a general overview of 8051 microcontroller topics, what we are going to discuss today. First is, what is the difference between a microprocessor and a microcontroller? Next thing, we are going to see about the overall details of microcontroller. Next one is about the MCS 51 family of microcontrollers. Next topic is the features of 8051 microcontroller, its architecture details, then components of 8051 microcontroller, pin diagram of 8051 microcontroller, application of the microcontrollers, then application of microcontroller in marine industries. Next one is the instruction set of microcontroller 8051 and its addressing modes. So first one is the difference between a microprocessor and a microcontroller. So we all know that what is the significance of a microprocessor and microcontroller in modern days. Almost 10,000, there are 10,000 applications where this microprocessor or a microcontrollers can be used. Some of the, in all industries it is used, from our industry, automation industries, textile industry, everything is nowadays automated. So these microcontrollers and processors can be used in almost all the industries. So what are the difference between the microprocessor and a microcontroller? Coming to the architectural difference. So microprocessor consists of arithmetic and logical unit, which is called as ALU, apart from the control unit. So control unit consists of a clock and timing circuit. Then different type of registers and interrupt circuits. This clock and control unit is used to synchronize the system with the existing external peripheral devices. It consists of different type of registers which is used to store the data, and whenever needed it can able to recover the data. Next one is the interrupt circuit. Interrupts are generally are used for triggering the interrupts. That is, whenever some program has to be called, we are going to go for an interrupt enabled instructions. So microprocessor consists of an arithmetic logic unit, control unit, different type of registers and interrupts. But microcontroller consists of a microprocessor along with memory unit, input-output interface, peripheral devices such as analog to digital converter, serial input-output ports and timers. So, microcontroller can be told as a superset of a microprocessor. In microprocessor, this memory unit, which are RAM, ROM, apart from that input-output units and peripheral devices, are not existing within the chip. It is existing outside the chip, so they are connected to buses. But in case of microcontroller, the entire modules, all these modules are included in a single chip, so it is called as a system on chip. Next, what is the difference of a microprocessor? It has many instruction sets that can be used for moving the data between a memory and CPU. Coming to a microcontroller, it has one or two instructions to move the data between the memory and CPU. So, coming to the third difference, it has one or two bit handling instructions. It has many bit handling instructions. Next difference is accessing time between the memory and input-output devices are more. Here, accessing time is less. Next difference is microprocessor is a based system requires more hardware because external devices, external modules such as memory unit, input-output units, that peripheral units are being connected externally. So that should be connected through buses that are lying on the PCBs. So it requires more hardware. But in case of a microcontroller, all these external modules such as memory, input, output, peripheral devices are being placed in a single chip. So it requires less hardware. So reducing PCB size and increasing the reliability can be achieved. So before proceeding, we will see the main architecture of an generally any electronic system. So any electronic system, the brain of the electronic system is the central processing unit, which is called as a CPU. Apart from that, for storing the data in form of registers, we need a memory unit called as memory. And for interfacing with the external devices, we need input-output units. There are three major units which are lying, which is CPU, memory unit, and input-output units. All these units are being connected through means of buses. So there are three types of buses are there: address bus, data bus, and control bus. All three the buses are connected through all three modules. So why these buses are essential is there should be a regular communication taking place between each and every module. Between the modules, that is, the exchange of data takes place through these buses. So, as address bus, address can be shared between the modules. Data bus, data can be transferred, and control bus is used to taking care of the entire operation of the systems. We have discussed earlier that in 8085 requires more number of instructions that can be transferred between the memory and the CPU. So there can be more number of data exchanges, more number of instructions are available that can be communicated between the CPU and the memory through this process. But in case of 8051, it requires very less, that is 2 or 3 type of instructions are required for data exchange between this thing. And the data exchange takes place at the faster rate in case of microcontroller when compared to the microprocessor. Microcontrollers are generally designed to do specific tasks only, but microprocessors are generally preferred to do multitasking. So based upon the requirement, based upon the application, suppose we want to increase the system performance or something, we are going for a microprocessor. If we want to improve the control operation, control mechanism of a system, we are preferring microcontroller. So now we will discuss about the microprocessor, microcontroller overview. So microcontroller overview, as you can see here, what all modules are there within a single microprocessor chip. This CPU will consist of CPU, RAM, ROM, input-output unit, timer, and serial ports. So microcontrollers are small computing system on a single chip. So it majorly referred as MCU, that is microcontroller unit. Generally, a microcontroller unit generally consists of CPU, which is central processing unit, program memory, which is ROM, that is then RAM, that is random access memory, which is called as data memory. And apart from that, it also consists of electrically erasable programmable read-only memory, that is EEPROM. Apart from that, there are other modules which are being placed on a single chip, which is USART, Universal Serial Synchronized Receiver Transmitter, which is timer and counter unit, timer and counters, analog to digital converter, digital to analog converter, input output ports, CAN, that is control area network, SPI, that is serial peripheral interface, etc. Some of the commonly used microcontrollers are Motorola 6811, Intel 8051, Zilog Z8, and PIC16X. All these are called as general purpose microcontrollers. General purpose means It is commonly used for all applications. So it is most famous since it is used for commonly used application. There are other type of microcontrollers which are called as special purpose microcontrollers, which are used for a advanced level application. So which can able to do which are advanced in nature and which can do more accurate tasks, which are applicable for more accurate tasks, which are called as embedded system microcontrollers. Today we are going to see about 8051 microcontroller and its family members. That is MCS51 family of microcontroller consists of generally for the family consists of 8031, 8051, 8052 and 8751. So these are all the common features about each and every controllers, microcontrollers in this family of MCS51. Coming to ROM. So 8031 doesn't have any inbuilt ROM, but in case of 8051 it has 4 kilobytes of ROM. 8052 consists of 8 kilobytes of ROM, and 8751 has 4 kilobytes of unit ROM. So next one is RAM. RAM is also called as a data memory. So in 8031 it has 128 bytes of data memory. In case of 8051 it has 128 bytes. Here 8052 has 256 bytes and 8751 is 128 bytes. Timer. The timer unit is a deciding factor for system clock and synchronizing of the system with the external peripheral device. So we will see about each and every category of microcontroller. So timer for 8031 is 2, 8051 is 2, 8052 is 3 and 8751 is 2. Input output pins. Input output pins are called as input output which are connected to the input output units. Input output units are generally used for exchange of data between the system and its peripheral devices. So input output pins generally it has 32 pins. Here everything all includes the same 32 pins. Coming to the serial port. Serial port is used for exchange of data from one module to the other module serially. This data transfer takes place one after the other. So serial port can be there at the system as well as in the peripheral. There can be exchange of data takes place between the system and its external peripheral device through serial port, one bit after the other. So all these processors, that is controllers, have one serial ports. Coming to the interrupt source. Interrupt source or interrupt circuits which are responsible for generating the interrupts. That is, what is the interrupt? Interrupts are used for suspend the main program and flex to the subprograms and run the subprogram, then return back to the main program. So this interrupt will help to generate certain events and it can able to manage certain events. Interrupt source helps to manage certain events. So you can see the interrupt source which are available in various microcontroller families. That is 6 for 8031, 6 for 8051, 8052 has 8 and 8751 has 6. So these are the common feature of each and every microcontroller under the family of MCS51. Our objective is to learn about 8051 microcontroller because it is most famous and most commonly used. It is called as general purpose microcontroller. So coming to that, So it was the 8051 microcontroller was invented by Intel Corporation. So they have designed and which is of 8-bit. So 8-bit it can able to accommodate. So designed for performing 8-bit math operation and single bit Boolean operations. So this 8051 are designed to for the 8-bit mathematical operation can be performed and single bit Boolean operations. That is Boolean related operations can be performed. So it has inbuilt ROM of 4096. This 4096 bytes on chip programmable memory. So ROM refers to program memory. So it has 4096 bytes of on chip ROM. It has 128 bytes of on chip data memory, which is called as RAM, random access memory. So RAM here refers to the data memory. So 8051 has 128 bytes of on-chip RAM. Apart from that, it has two multiple mode 16-bit timer and counters, 4 register banks, 32 bidirectional input-output line organized as 6-bit ports. These are the special features of 8051. Based upon the application where we are going to use a microcontroller, this vendor companies will design the allocation of RAM, ROM, registers, and input-output units. So here we can see the architecture of 8051 microcontroller in this diagram. This is also called as a block diagram of 8051 microcontroller. So it consists of various blocks on there. You can see there. All these blocks are being connected through buses. What are all the buses? There are 3 types of buses majorly: address bus, data bus, and control bus. These buses helps to connect each and every module with other modules. Thereby, this act as a pathway which will help the exchange of data between one module to other module. First, we will see about that is core, that is heart of a microcontroller. Heart of the microcontroller is the arithmetic logic unit, which is of 8-bit, which is also called as ALU. So, next thing is it consists of various types of registers. It consists of temporary registers as well as the permanent registers. What is meant by register? Registers are used to store the information. So memory unit generally consists of various types of registers. So each and every registers will have n number of stacks. So data will be stored in each and every stacks in the registers. So there can be a permanent register as well as the temporary registers. Permanent registers are used to retrieve data permanently. Temporary registers are used for storing the data only for a certain period of time. So we can see there are various types of registers are there. One is the accumulator, next is temporary register, W register, Z register, then permanent register, B register, C register, D, E, H, L, and instructional register. All these are 8-bit registers, which are denoted by bracket 8, which means that 8-bit registers. All this accumulator, temporary register, this instructional registers, W register, Z register, B, C, D, E, H, and L registers are 8-bit registers. So next we will see 16-bit registers. 16-bit registers are stop pointer, program counter, increment and decrement addressing matches. So 8-bit, so it now we can know that 8051 microcontroller registers is of two types. This one is 8-bit register and other is 16-bit registers. And it also has a temporary and permanent register for storing the data. But then we will see about it consists of address buffer and data address buffer. Both address and data address buffers are of 8 bits. These buffers are used for exchange of information and storing the information for a short duration of time, or storing of data for a short duration of time. So these buffers are being connecting the existing 8051 microcontroller with the external peripheral devices. Here we can see it can be connected to means of address bus. That is, address buffer can be connected by means of address bus. Data and address buffers are used by connecting address and data bus. So address buffer is unidirectional in nature. That is, A8 to A15. Those are the address bus which are running from the address buffer to the external peripheral devices. This is a unidirectional. So 8051 microcontroller can be able to communicate with the external device unidirectionally. But in case of data and address buffer, it is a bidirectional in nature. That is, exchange of data transfer takes place bidirectionally. So which can be supported by pins of DA0 to DA7. Similarly, A0 to A7 buses. So bidirectional data transfer takes place. Coming to timer and control unit. Timer and control unit is the major control unit of the entire 8051 microcontroller. This timer and control unit majorly helps to synchronize the system time, or it is called as a global clock also. It can able to control the system time, and it can able to synchronize the system with the external peripheral devices which are connected. Thereby, some task has to be performed by a microcontroller. It can be fixed. It can be allotted at certain duration of time. So, prioritization of task, scheduling of the task can be efficiently possible and can be managed by means of timer and control unit. Next one is the interrupt control unit. Interrupt, by the name, you can know that interrupts can be managed and controlled by means of interrupt control unit. These interrupt control units take care of the occurrence of the interrupt, the duration of the interrupt, and the prioritization of the interrupt. Next one is serial input-output control unit. Serial input-output control units helps to exchange of data between the existing 8051 microcontroller to the external peripheral devices serially. That is bit after bit. Serial data transfer means it can be a serial, that is a synchronous type of serial data transfer, or asynchronous type of serial data transfer. What is meant by synchronous type of serial data transfer is exchange of information takes place bit after the bit at a regular interval of time. This is called as synchronous serial data transfer. In asynchronous serial data transfer, the exchange of information from the source to the destination takes place asynchronously, which means at a irregular interval of time, one after the other. So we have saw about the entire architecture of the 8051, what are all models are. So which can be listed here. The models can be listed here. So architecture, the components, you can say as a model or components of 8051 microcontroller. So it consists of accumulator and register sets, which are the storage units. Apart from the program counter and stack pointers, which is of 16-bit unit. Next is flag registers, arithmetic logic unit, which is ALU, instruction decoder and machine cycle encoder, This instructional decoder and machine cycle encoders are used to fetch the data from the memory unit, fetch the data and then decode the data. Then it is used to execute the data by the CPU. So majorly it is used for fetching the data from the memory unit, decoding the data, decoding the information. Then it is used to execute those information or act upon the information. This is done by the CPU. Next is address buffer, data buffer, address and data buffer, increment and decrement latches, interrupt control, serial input output like in SOD, SID. Next is timer and control unit. So these are all the major components which are listed in case of 8051 microcontroller. Next we will see how the 8051 looks. It looks like a single chip, system on chip. It is called as a system on chip, or in form of ICs also it is available. It is available in form of chip or in form of ICs. So it is consists of 40 pins. That is like 40 pins are there. Here 32 pins are used for input-output purpose. That is, especially it is dedicated for input-output operation. That is, data transfer, exchange of data transfer from the system, that is 8051 microcontroller to the external device is possible by means of these 32 pins which are connected to the buses. 24 of these are used for dual purpose. That is, it can be used for 22 of that can be used for serving as an input output as well as for control operation, control links. It can be also used as a control link. It is used as input output operation as well as for control operation. Or it can be used as a part of the address or data bus. And it can be used as a part of the address or a data bus. This is the overall pin diagram of 8051 microcontroller, 8031 microcontroller. What is the difference between? Major difference between 8051 and 8031 is it doesn't have inbuilt ROM, it doesn't have 8031. So external ROM has to be placed for memory operation. Now we will see application of microcontrollers. These microcontrollers are mostly used in gadgets, electronic gadgets. Nowadays you know that everyone is using gadget, home, in industry or in educational institutes everywhere. So gadgets plays a major role for storing the information and in order to send some information or receive some information, electronic gadgets everyone is carrying. So which means that they are carrying a microcontroller or a chip along with them. So generally these microcontrollers are used for cell phones. From a normal phone to the advanced level phones, smartphones we are using. Pager, it can be used. Watches, digital watches are there. We are using calculators, advanced level scientific calculators, using video gaming. There are video gaming facilities are there. Joystick everywhere we are using a microcontroller. Alarm clock, it can be used in digital alarm system, air conditioning system, TV remote system, microwave ovens, washing machine, electronic smart vehicle display system, robotic systems, anti-locking braking system, monitor. That is in cars and all braking systems. Normally we are going for a microcontroller or a embedded based braking system, which is more precise and accurate. One of the major thing why we are going for a microcontroller is for do certain control operation at precise time and accurate. These are the common applications. This is not listed to this, there can be more applications, but commonly used applications are those. We will see what is the significance of a microcontroller in marine industry. This can be listed. Microcontroller based in maritime applications. So some of the major applications I have listed here. That is microcontroller based data acquisition system used in wireless sensor are used for maritime surveillance and security. So maritime surveillance plays a major role in marine industry because in order to manage the vessel traffic management during vessel traffic management or for surveillance or for weather forecast or any for security, national security, this data acquisition is very much important. So there may be many wireless sensors connected on a system which is floating on the surface of the sea or which is placed below the sea or which can be which is placed mounted on a drone robot which is flying over the surface of the sea. This data can be received from the sensors and it can be used, it can be able to process, this data can be processed and can be sent to the remote location for analysis. These data are very much helpful to know the what is the nature of the sea, what is the real-time scenario which is taking place over the surface of the sea or below the sea. So disaster, it is majorly helpful for analyzing and preventing disasters like tsunami. So next one is environmental monitoring. These microcontrollers are used for environmental monitoring, weather forecasting, and oceanographic studies. During oceanographic studies, oceanographic studies deals with these biological organisms or the biological plants which are there in the present in the sea. Because we have to analyze, we have to know the nature of the plants and organisms which are living in the ocean. So these microcontrollers which are mounted on an electronic devices which supports environmental monitoring, weather forecasting and oceanographic study. Next one is microcontroller used for controlling onboard ship bridge equipment, navigation equipment, radars and communication devices. So modern ships consist of many smart devices and there are many smart devices which are mounted on the ship which are being integrated together and can be managed from a single place which is called as onboard bridge management. From one location we can able to manage the entire ship. We can able to monitor as well as do certain control operation over the entire ship. So it is used for majorly now everything we have turned into automation. So marine industry is now automated. So we are going for navigation, all the navigation devices, like GPS, gyro systems, everything helps the autopilot system uses microcontroller based systems. Radars also is used for knowing used for navigation as well as for the defense. Communication devices. There are many communication devices are there. Maritime radio communication devices which are operating at high frequency, low frequency, medium frequency devices. Like radio telephony, Navitext, etc. And ECDAS, electronic chart display and information system. All works under this microcontroller based application. Next one is microcontrollers in maritime automation industry. So, marine automation industry uses microcontrollers, many number of microcontrollers. It is used for a gangway, it is used for gang. Okay, students, today we are saw about the introduction of 8051, the difference between microprocessor and microcontroller, and features of the 8051 microcontroller, and the architectural details along with the application. Thank you.